Hi, welcome back to step 3, our final finishing out video of Business Auto Blog Posting System. We'll talk about recurring annual posts, and we'll talk a little bit about blog templates that save you a lot of typing time if you have seen that a lot of your promotions have a lot of the same content, 50% of the same content. You're like, oh, I'm typing the same content over and over, and the other 50% is unique based on your promotions, your products, or whatever type of series. You might be doing a blog series on different things like that. So we'll jump right in. If you've looked at some of the previous blog posts, you saw that we talked about this one here, the live site, and we looked at the date. Okay, the last 4 digits of the date in the subject is very essential. That's going out every day, once a day, to the same, to an English, as you see this English one, going out to a Spanish one, Spanish site, a blog post, and going out to a French blog post, all automatically through Google Translate, so you don't have to do any retyping into these different languages. A tremendously powerful tool, and we'll get into some even more powerful things about, let's go right into that specific one, August the 16th, and an inspiration. So we can do searches on that, but we're just jumping in here. I've shown you the screen a few times before. So the last 4 digits is the year, and if you wanted this to go out every year, maybe it's a Christmas thing around Christmas time, where you have a certain July 1st, July 4th, certain promotion that comes out on a certain time every year, whatever, or an inspiration every year, such as this customer looking at a live customer site, then you can set this, oh, this is just a one-time post, everyone, or I can set this yearly. If you set it yearly, then it'll increment the next year, 1 year from now, on this particular date. Okay, so that this has been going for a couple of years now, so this will say 2019 next year automatically, and it will use the headers and footers that you have at that time. So we have just our previous one, we just talked about headers and footers for each site is unique, so we recommend you change your headers and your footers in this system for each of your blog sites every week, every month, or at least minimum once a year, so that you can make each post unique when it goes out the next year. Even though the subject line is different, you want to have a little bit of a top header different, bottom header different, and maybe some different images at the top and bottom to make that post unique. So you don't want to abuse this, but you want to just use it for the power of special events. So we'll talk quickly now about how this saves time with templates. You notice here I jumped all in and it seemed like all the work was done. So if I went in and did a brand new, let's go back to posts, and you want to start a post from scratch, you can hit this add new post, and we'll talk about these little 3 different selection things later on. But let's say you went right in, and the first thing you would do is say, okay, where do I want this post to go? I want this to go to a Spanish site, an English site, and a French site. And so that already there is done. Your sites are set up. We've already talked about that before. That's where that's going. And then your WordPress categories, we could say, okay, well, what did you set up for those 3 sites? And we would help work with you on the initial one. You don't usually want to use the uncategories. That's the standard one for all of them. So let's just say you wanted to do the inspiration. That's the only one you wanted here for the category for this. And of course that would translate that category into the different languages if it's a non-English site. And then we could say, hello world, this is just a test, and then type in some test stuff here. I'm not too sure what else you want to maybe put in the image like that afterwards. And there's a different image of something that could be any type of image you want to do. And then when you come down to here, we talked about these headers and footers. You normally always want to have those for sure, okay, if you're going to turn on this yearly. In other words, every year you want to have that. Now if you're going to use every year, okay, and you want to increment the year. Now in this case it says hello world. There's no year at the end, so you would not check this checkbox. Gives you little instructions here. It talks about how it works, and I'm just explaining it so I don't have to read that to you. So more realistic, you could say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Best to you. And I know we're way in advance here. So this time I would keep this checkbox checked because that last 4 digits are going to be auto incremented. It has to be 4 digits, okay? Not just the year 19. It's not going to do anything. So follow the instructions there. If you want this Merry Christmas one to go out every year, and it'll automatically band it to all the best to you in 2019, and then a year later, all the best to you in 2020. And it would have the headers that you change and the footers for each different site, which are different going to these different 3 sites. So the last thing you might say to yourself, let's just cancel out of this here and not save it right now, is what is this blog template? So sort of like 3 things here that you haven't really talked about. So let's go back to just blog posting, and we're just before we hit a brand new post. If for some reason that we talked about this, you're doing a series on promotions or a series on something, and you find yourself typing in a lot of the same text. Maybe it's got your same address, your company name, some basic contact information. You're typing it over and over again. It's like, it's not a blog posting system. I'm just retyping too much. So what you say is, that's the perfect for templates. So a template is you can just add a template and then just say, okay, what is going to be pretty basic. And you can say all the time I'm going to put in the business contact information and blah blah blah, address, your website, whatever they want to do, and then you could say, well, you know what, you could even say that this is always going to go to this certain site. Now this is a template. This is not an actual post. And so what a template again is saving you lots of time. Okay, so you could pick type in a certain subject that is called promotions for 2018. So once you save that and you go back to your posting and you want to go in and add a brand new post from scratch, you could, but once you save that new template, it would save it as a 4th new row up here. Now you have to just select it. So watch what happens here when I just select one of these templates. Okay, I just select it and look what it does. It fills in some base information already for me, fills in that, fills in this, and it just leaves out the date. Look, so I just have to put the year and how fast that goes. Look at this, it's already filled in for me, and just about everything's done. So all I have to do maybe is just change this bottom text here to something that's unique for this promotion. I know we're talking about inspiration because this is an inspirational site, a customer site we're using. That's why I do not want to change anything permanently. But this could be something that would be on 1, 2, 4, 5 sale 50%. You would make it until year end. All right. Okay. So you would make that. And of course, you always want to proof it. Send me the proof before it goes out. And then you might say, okay, I like that template there, but that's 2 English sites, and I don't really want to go to those 2 sites. So I want it to go to maybe just 1 site. Or maybe and we're using this a lot because French English, because again, with 1 post, Google translates, grabbing everything from here, translating that, translating the categories, the WordPress categories, it's translating everything in here. And so it goes out as English to this English site, and then when it goes out to this French site, it will translate it to French, and then when it goes out to the Spanish site, it goes out to French, and this we've been showing you all along. Here is the English site, same post, translated to Spanish for the Spanish site, same post, translated to the French site. And again, this is an inspirational site that we're showing, but if you have business products that you want to target for different areas of people speaking Spanish or so on, different languages, then you would do that. We've already covered up the languages that you would sign up for Google Translate in the different plans if you want that. And then of course, when these sites inside are set up, here's where you set your base language, and you say, okay, that's why that one was going to Spanish, and that's why the other site was going to French, because Google translates it. And of course, you don't buy Google Translate, all you get is the English. So we really recommend you to look at your audience and say, where are you handling all your blog sites, and then how this system here can help. And if you just go to Google Translate and say, okay, I'm just going to type in Google, actually not in there, I'll just type in Google Translate here. And you just, okay, so you test out before you actually sign up for, let's say you wanted to translate something, hello, how are you? And then you just go into this, right? This is all free, as you see. And so if you want to translate that into Danish, there's Danish. You wanted to translate that, and you would check that out. Okay, you say, is that actually good? Okay, here's Spanish and French. Well, let's do the French now. And so if you did not happy, I know we felt pretty good about the French and English ones, but we have not had time to test. There's over 100 Google things to test on. So then you're like, we don't have the time to test that. So we want you to test that for the language you would want, and of course in the help we show you the 13 languages you currently support, and then over time we will add more languages. So we'd ask you to test that and say, hey, that is good enough, that's close enough, so this Google translation is good, and so we're all done. So you're all ready to sign up, and the last video we'll show you is the sign up process, so you're ready to actually sign up, and then we would help get these sites that you already own, WordPress sites that you've already got the domains and bought the domains for, and we would install WordPress on them. If you already have WordPress on, it's great, but normally we just start off with a brand new empty site to make it a lot easier for you, and then from there we would set up the first post for you, and then once you're there you can just use these videos again to remind yourself how to use the system, which is pretty easy and pretty powerful. Thanks again for your time. Have yourself a great day.